Hi everyone, I will present you a joint work with Fatma, Ezzahra, Hadj, Ammar on Human Development Index. So it was the study of Fatma and myself on the analysis of Human Development Index. Probably you know that Human Development Index is an index very very often used by countries, etc. And this index is developed by United Nations Development Program. And if you check their webpage, you will see that they will say that they created this index in order to emphasize that people and their capabilities should be the ultimate criteria for assessing the development of a country, not economic ground alone. So this index is here to show that there are some countries which are rich, which has a big GNI, but they don't use very well this money for their development. So this index, they said, also can also be used to question national policy choices. So it is a very political issue. So what they use, they will just define the three dimensions, so the health, the education, and also standard of living. And for this three dimension, they will just choose one very easy indicators, for instance, life expectancy for health, and expected and mean years of schooling for knowledge. And for standard of living, they will just consider the GNI per capita. So they will use these three dimensions, and as I will show you, they will aggregate them in order to have a score for each country. So here's an example. The data is from 2019, and as you can see, for each country you will have different information, like his ranking with this index, his score, his Human Development Index, his evaluations on these different dimensions that I presented. And also they just show that there are some countries like Kuwait, which is very well ranked with GNI, but not very well ranked with their Human Development Index, in order to show that they are not using the money very well. And the last information that we will have, it's about the family of development, in which category of development each country belongs. For instance, here you see that Seychelles is a high human developed country. So these four countries are defined using quartiles from a distribution of each dimensions. And we have very high human development countries, high development countries, medium human development countries, and low development countries. Here you have different countries here. So this is the best ranked country. This is Norway, and the worst country is Niger here. So, and their scores. So as you see, we don't have the same number of countries in each category. And then you can have a very nice earth web using these four categories. So as I said, I will analyze all these things with MultiCriteria, using MultiCriteria decision tools. And as you will see, in MultiCriteria, the first thing that we check when we have this type of data is the Pareto dominance. So what is the Pareto dominance? I will say that a country is more developed than another one if his evaluation on each dimension is better than the other country. It means that X is better in health, is better in education, and is better in standard of living than Y. That's why I will say that X dominates Y. So if we check this, We have a little bit surprising issue for multi-criteria decision making, but because we will see that there are a lot of pairwise comparisons that we can do, so more than 70,000 comparisons, and 74% of them, they are pareto dominance. So even I don't need really a score in order to compare a lot of countries, because it is sufficient to have pareto dominance. So, okay, so, but what about the other percentage of pairwise comparisons? Now we have two countries that I cannot compare with pareto dominance, because one of X is better in health, but Y is better in education. So then I don't have this pareto dominance. So how I will decide which one is more developed? In order to answer this, Human Development Index proposed a score. So using a geometric mean. So in order to do this geometric mean, we need a normalization for each dimension. And these normalizations are done using a minimum and maximum value for each dimensions. And then we have a linear normalization as here and here. And also for GNA, we have a linear normalization, but after a transformation with a logarithmic function for GNI per capita. So I will analyze this formula and I will see if we can use other tools. So first of all, why this geometric mean? Let's remark that before 2010 they were using an arithmetic mean. Why they changed from arithmetic mean to geometric one? Both of them are very compensatory scores, so the compensation is not the issue, I think. In multiple criteria decision making, generally we use geometric mean for two reasons. First of all, because we have some a ratio scales, but here is not important because we are doing normalizations. The second reason is that we want to give some advantage to balanced alternatives. What does it mean? It means that we don't want to have countries like this one, which is very worse in one dimension, but very good in another one. And because of the compensation, if I use a sum, I will check, I will see that he is a middle country, like X. But if I use the geometric mean, I will have 0.5 for a balanced one, but a less, so smaller value for disbalanced country. So it was, maybe this is the reason. But let's check if this modification has a big differences for our rankings. The answer is maybe surprising. It's not very surprising, but maybe you don't think immediately that we will get these results. So here I have all my countries, okay? So this is the best ranked country, so Norway here, and this is the worst ranked country like Niger and their scores, okay? So the yellow ones are with arithmetic mean and the blue ones with geometric mean. As you see, the difference between scores is not huge, and we still have the same ranking of countries. So it is not so surprising, because we know that 74% of these pairwise comparisons are Pareto dominant, so they are stable, so they are robust. But even for others, if I calculate the Kemeny distance between these two rankings, I have just 0.6% of comparisons which are different from one to one. So it's not a big difference. And also we don't have a big difference between the categorization that we can do into these four families. There are only 7 countries changing the category from arithmetic or geometric one. So, as I said, we use the logarithmic, the ln function in order to do a transformation of a GNI. Why? Because when I add, for instance, $100 in a very rich country, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean a big thing, but if I add the same amount in a poor country, it means a lot of things. So that's why they use this logarithmic function, which is very flat here, and this is it. So they will do this transformation, and then they will define a minimum and maximum value for the GNI. Okay, when we do this type of things, what may happen? I think that it's a very good idea to have not a linear transformation for GNI, but the result may be a little bit surprising. Why? For instance, here, we can see that we have Gabon and Kyrgyzstan, and Gabon is better than Kyrgyzstan for Human Development Index, even if we can live 5 years more in Kyrgyzstan. Why? Because Gabon has a bigger GNI. So it means that we have a compensation between GNI and life expectancy index. Yes. And if I want to see this compensation issue, I can calculate what happens if I lose 1 year of life expectancy in Gabon if I want to have the same Human Development Index. So if I lose 1 year of life expectancy in Gabon, it is sufficient to add $1,500 in my GNI per capita in order to have still the same score. But if I lose 1 year in Kyrgyzstan of life expectancy, it is sufficient to add only $280 in order to keep the same score. What does it mean? It means that the equivalent money for 1 year of life expectancy, it's not the same if you are a rich country or poor country. And this is because of the compensation issue and because of logarithmic function. So why logarithmic function? For instance, before 2000, they were using another transformation, which is Atkinson transformation. I don't have many time to explain it, but if I use the data of 2019 with Atkinson transformation, all the other things remaining same, I will see that these are my countries, again, the best countries and the worst countries, development, and their scores. I will check that the blue one is Human Development Index, actually, and the orange one are scores if I used Atkinson transformation. What I see is that for poor countries, if I if I don't use Atkinson, but I use logarithmic normalization, I will double their score. So it means that the score alone doesn't mean anything, too many things, so let's say, because I can double even my score without doing anything, having the same evaluations, but because just the program changed their normalization. And using Atkinson transformation, I will have also different categorization and not many countries in the middle of the categories. Okay, why to use, if I want to do this categorization correctly, why to use all these normalization issues, geometric mean, which is a very complex. Let's see if I use just the Pareto dominance, which is more robust than all the other things. So if I, for instance, give a score for a country, saying that the score of country will be the number of countries dominated by me minus the number of countries which dominates me, I will have, so here again my countries and here again their scores. The half of the poor countries, we will see that they're very dominated, and I will have exactly the same categorization, not many differences between the categories. There are only 8 categories changing their assignment. If I want to have the same number of countries in each family as actually. So another question that we can say, so I'm not saying that we have to use this, but it is just to show that even without normalization or weights, etc., I can find very close results. Another thing that we can use also is ordered weighted average, OWA. What is it? It's a rank-dependent aggregation operator. So let's imagine that I have Australia with these 3 evaluations. What I will do, I will first of all order this evaluation, okay, from the worst one to the best one, and then I will give some weights to the ranks, not to the criteria, but to the weights. To the ranks, for instance, if I want to have to be very optimistic, I will put all the weights in the best evaluation, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. If I want to have very pessimistic, I will just see the minimum evaluation for each country, or I can give other weights. So we checked different weights which are possible here. So it's I don't have enough time to explain all these things, but here, for instance, the blue one is the weights for minimum one. The orange one is the weights for the median one, and the green one is the maximum one. So if I put all my weights, for instance, for the best maximum value, I will have a big difference, a big Kemeny distance between the actual human rights index, the ranking given by Human Development Index, and the ranking given by the maximum value, because this value is 11% of the pairwise comparison, knowing that 74% of them are Pareto dominance. Okay, and the last question that we asked, I think that it is not a good idea to use statistical issues like quartiles in order to define if a country is a developed one, high developed one, medium developed one. I think that we need to know what it means to have a developed country, a medium developed country, or this type of things. So I think that we need some prototypes, and we need to compare countries to these prototypes. So it is not a good idea to use statistics. And then I think that for this, we need a real tools in order to do ordinal categorization. At LAMSADE, we are doing this type of tools. So we have, for instance, Lattre 3 method, which is well known for this. And the question that we ask is, if we want to use Lattre 3, can we obtain the same categorization as a Human Development Index, actually? So it means that we took all the families with their data, and then we are doing machine learning or preference elicitation techniques in order to find Lattre 3 parameters like prototypes, weights, vetoes, thresholds, this type of things, in order to see if there are some Lattre 3 model which give the same categorization. So Fatma, she tried to do this with a linear programming, and the answer is no, which means that for the moment, if we want to use a good ordinal categorization method like Lattre 3, we will probably not obtain the same categorization. So I will just end by saying that I'm not sure that really we need to rank countries. So it is better to have an interesting and meaningful evaluation for each country. It seems that the score alone is not very meaningful since we can double our score without modifying evaluations, just changing normalizations. And a lot of Pareto dominance is there, which is nice for the robustness of the pairwise comparisons, but we have to do more. And all the modifications which are done during this, I think, 20 years does not have a big impact on the results. And I think that it is not a good idea to use statistics in order to define categories. So thank you.